Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is David Yost, the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, and I'm here with your boy Galaxy on Comic-Con Radio. It's Morphin time, so make sure you continue to listen.
This is Galaxy signing in for Comic-Con Radio. Coverage of pop culture events from around the globe. Amazing interviews with celebrities. Daily recaps and reviews of popular television. The Walking Dead. Z Nation. Van Helsing. DC Titans. Flash. The Legends of Tomorrow. Black Lightning. American Horror Story. Green Arrow. Movie reviews. Everything Comic-Con and fandom from around the globe. Comic-Con Radio. Get ready to enter our universe. Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is your boy Galaxy on another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio. The weather today is horrible here in the Hollywood Hills, but we have an amazing guest. He's a cool dude. He was a Power Ranger. He's still a Power Ranger. He's one of the original Power Rangers, one of the original cast members on over 200 episodes. Never gave his coin up, never did any of that stuff. He is the cool dude and our friend, David Yost. David, what's up, buddy? How are you? Welcome to Comic-Con Radio.
Wow, thank you so much for having me. What an intro that was. That's very kind of you.
You're very welcome. You're a cool dude. We all here in the studio love the Power Rangers. We all grew up with it. So we grew up coming after school watching you kick butt.
Well, I like to hear that, and I know my co-stars do too. We never get tired of it, so it's great.
So you were the Blue Ranger, and you got that role at the age of, 19, 20?
I wish. I think I was 22, actually, when I got the role.
Okay, we're off a little bit. Okay, guys, he was 22, but you still did amazing. And you pulled it off.
I did, yes. Most of us, I think the youngest one was Austin St. John was the youngest. He was 18, and then Jason Frank was 19. And then the rest of us were in our early 20s.
Well, you guys pulled it off. It was great. That show was such a part of my youth and everyone else here. You're part of pop culture. You're part of history. And the Power Rangers is such a huge thing in all Comic-Con events and any event and any convention. It's like the biggest thing, highly collectible. So you must have tons of fans always reaching out.
Yeah, every day it's like, it's such a humbling experience for me just because none of us, when we got our roles on the show, never thought the show would be the success that it was. And it's such a success on such a worldwide level. It's really hard to comprehend how successful it is. But fortunately, now with Comic-Cons all over the world, we get to travel and get to meet fans all over the world and just really hear stories about how Power Rangers affected so many people's lives in so many different ways. I don't ever get tired of hearing the stories. We often get so much love from everybody. I mean, you can never get tired of being loved. So it's a true gift. I'm so grateful for it. And the fact that we're here, I guess for me now, it's almost 27 years later, because we shot the original pilot in 1992. So here we are 27 years later, and it's still alive. It's crazy.
August 28th, 1993, when the first episode released. How are you feeling that day?
I think we were all working that day. I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation for us because we filmed almost the entire first season before it even started airing. And so we had no real gauge as to how the show was going to go. And then, it aired that first day and it did really well. And, within several weeks, we became the number one kids show in America. The producers would come to set and be like, you guys are number one, but, you don't really know how to understand what that means. I guess we started figuring it out when we would start getting recognized in public now, and parents would bring their kids up to us or, things like that. So that's when you start understanding that you're on the number one kids show. But on that first day, obviously we were all excited to see how it was going to go, and we were glad to hear that it went so well. And I think within like a month or two, Fox, we had filmed 40 episodes, and Fox Kids, who was the network we aired on in the United States, ordered another 20 episodes. So that was exciting for all of us. So that was cool.
That must be such a great feeling. What people don't realize is back then, you guys filmed like 60 episodes a season. That's like unheard of for today's TV. But,
Right.
Usually now it's like 10, 13, and they're like pushing it like Arrow's at like 22, and that's like pushing it. But like you guys shot 60 episodes a season. That must have been a lot of work.
Yeah, it was constant. We worked 12 to 15-hour days and 5 days a week. Some days, some weeks were 6 days a week, because often on Saturdays they'd have us go into what we call ADR when we do our voiceovers on our costume characters. So we'd have to go into the booth on Saturdays sometimes to do that. So just constant work. But, I think for all of us, we liked it because we came to Hollywood to be working actors, and we were on a successful TV show. So it was, a great learning experience for all of us.
Was acting something you wanted to do from childhood? Because I know you were in gymnastics as well. Was it something
Correct.
that was inside of you as young as like 5 or 6, like some of these other actors?
For me, it was 7 years old. That's when I figured out that this is what I want to do. I was in the second grade talent show, and I got to play Dopey in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And I was left on stage singing by myself, and it was in front of my entire school. And the whole school was laughing at me and enjoying what I was doing. And I thought, oh, wow, this is what I want to do. And so from that moment, I always made sure that I got into any school play that was possible. And I would go and I would skip gymnastics practice sometimes and take the bus downtown and audition for touring companies that were coming through that needed to hire local actors. So it was always something that I was doing, but I was, as well as you said, a competitive gymnast for a lot of my, youth and middle school and high school. And so that took up a lot of time too. But fortunately, when I got Power Rangers, it sort of allowed me to do both, to be a gymnast and to be an actor.
When you were in gymnastics, I read that you won some great championships, like some state championships. That must have been such a great feeling, because gymnastics, to get to that level, it takes a lot of hard work. So you're a hardworking dude.
Sometimes, for sure. And back then, for me, I was lucky because gymnastics really came, I think, naturally to me. My coaches sometimes would be like, I would teach myself how to do things, and I would just do it. And they'd be like, where did you learn that? And I was like, oh, I just watched them do it. So I did it. And so they were like, oh, wow, that's great. But yes, I got to travel around regionally, and I was number one in the competition. So, that was great. So it was a lot of fun to be a gymnast, really work at it so hard.
You think being a gymnast was one of the factors for them casting you in Power Rangers?
Yeah, clearly, when they put out the little casting breakdown, they would put down like what they wanted each character to be. And then as a caveat, they said, and you need to have dancing experience, martial arts, or gymnastics experience. Like those are one of the 3 criteria that you needed to have. So I think for all of us, you had to have that physical ability as well. Obviously, we didn't understand why until we were cast in the show, and then we saw, oh, we're trying to mirror the martial arts of a Japanese show. And so they want it to look like we can do these moves.
That's pretty cool. I think in the beginning, a lot of people didn't know what was going on. And 2 or 3 seasons in, they were like, okay, this is an American show on Fox, and it's filmed here. It was pretty cool. You guys really pulled it off. You guys really made it look like those old Godzilla movies.
Right. The first season, we did use Japanese footage from a Japanese TV show, and it was cut into our TV show. And then we started filming all of our footage here in the United States because we ran out of that footage. So originally it was a show in Japan first, and the creator, Haim Saban, was over there doing business, and he saw the show, and he thought, I can turn this into an American version, use American actors, and just splice it in with this Japanese footage. And that's what he did. It took him numerous attempts to try to sell this idea to different networks. He showed us a pilot that he had done 8 years prior to us starting with like an older cast, which was really interesting to watch. And then finally he tried it again, and I was in the lucky cast. And fortunately, there was a woman who was the president of Fox Kids named Margaret Loesch. And she saw something in it, and she's like, we'll give it a chance, whatever. And so we owe all of our success really to her, because she took a chance on us, and it blew up.
That's pretty cool. That show is ingrained in pop culture here, in pop history in the United States. It's still popular, like you said, in conventions. People still want to be part of the original cast and meet you guys. And to be honest with you, there's been so many changes in the show through the years, but the people that I remember is the original cast members. That's like ingrained in my mind, because you were part of like 200 episodes. And if you put it to today's times, that's like 20 years of seasons. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's
totally.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So when you were filming the episodes, what was your best episode that you can remember? What's like the coolest one that you were like, okay, I still remember that till this day?
I would say, a lot of the first season, I have so many memories from the first season because we were all learning together and we were having so much fun together. In the original cast, we just had like amazing chemistry together. I mean, for me, there's 3 shows that I always say are my favorite ones, 3 episodes, I should say. The first one was Power Ranger Punk, where Billy and Kimberly drink a potion and it makes them mean and they become bullies at the school. That one was a lot of fun to film. And then another one was called Switching Places, and again, it's Billy and Kimberly, and Billy creates this contraption, and it malfunctions, and it switches their brains, and so they become each other's personalities. So that was a lot of fun, and it was really funny to film. And I think for all of us, one of our favorite episodes is called Food Fight, and we just had so much fun because we got to have a real food fight on camera, got to throw food at each other and throw food at our crew. So we just had a lot of fun that day.
I know there was a lot of episodes, so you probably had a lot of fun episodes, a lot of things going on, and so many things that just comes in mind. It's like huge amount of episodes in history. You're also a producer.
Yeah, I've been known to be.
How has that changed from being an actor to a producer?
Once I left the show, I went through a lot and moved to Mexico for a year to get my head together, and I came back and I decided, okay, well, I'm going to work behind the scenes because I really want to work in the industry. And so I just started working for a production company and started at the beginning, like so many people, and be a production assistant. But they could see that I really liked what I was doing and I was really involved. They advanced me rather quickly, and I became a producer on numerous documentaries, on Movies of the Week. I was an associate producer on The Temptation Island, which was not a great a great show to work on, but in terms of the material, that was one of my first big shows. It was for Fox as well. And then, I worked on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills the first 2 seasons. So I've done a lot of reality. I've also been a location manager for numerous scripted comedies. I still work behind the scenes, and just obviously a different function to being an actor, but I enjoy doing both. I think I enjoy being an actor a little bit more. Just with being a producer, there's a lot more responsibility. And I'm the first one to set and the last one to leave. So sometimes the days are a lot longer, but I enjoy doing both.
Yes, you were part of Temptation Island and the Housewives show and all that. It must have been a change, but you like acting. Are there any cool projects that you've been kind of thinking about getting on, or you're just being very selective?
I've been working lately on developing 3, I guess we call everything's new media these days. So, like shorter 12-minute episodes that we do for online content. So I'm currently working in a writing program, and I've been developing 3 TV shows. And so I'm excited to see where I can get those this year and see if I can't get at least 1, if not all 3, made.
That's pretty exciting, to be like part of projects. And you have both sides, the acting and the producing. You kind of got like the both, what is that, the flesh and the meat. Then it just needs a little bit of sprinkle of money, and then that's it. The project's happening.
Exactly. So I think as an actor these days, you have to be in charge of your career so much. I think we as actors really need to be out there writing stuff and directing stuff and producing stuff and making sure content gets out there. And, it's relatively easy these days. I know people are making TV shows with their phones. It's crazy. So it's not necessarily as difficult all the time, But obviously you want it to have a high production value, so using your phone isn't always the best option. But if that's all you got, you should do it. And just, always be creative. Like for me, it's like important to continue to read plays, just always be reading about stuff in the industry. But for me as an actor, reading plays is really important because it really helps you with dialogue. It helps you with memorization. It triggers stuff in your brain so that you're creating characters in your head so that when you do have an audition, you can be like, oh, this guy's kind of like that guy that I read about in the play. So I can take from that and put those characteristics into this reading that I'm doing for an audition.
That's good advice. I love it when my guests give advice because a lot of inspiring actors, up-and-coming actors, people that want to get into voice acting and all that, they listen to this show and they look up to you guys because you guys have done it. You've paved the way. You've done things that they either grew up watching or are currently watching, and it's really cool. I know you just gave some advice, but what bit of advice can you give someone trying to get into like an action TV show like the Power Rangers?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, you should make sure that you're in physical shape to be a Power Ranger. Although, I don't know anymore. I mean, I think it's a lot different than when I was on the show. Like we literally had to have, as I said, the dancing, the martial arts or gymnastics background. And I don't know that that's a requirement anymore. Whether it is or not, you should make it a requirement for yourself. So you should really want to be able to be the part in every way possible. So even if you're not required to do fight scenes, you should still work on doing fight scenes because you never know. And if the opportunity arises within the show for you to do your own fight scene, it's going to elevate you as an actor and to your fan base. And they're going to be like, wow, that guy or that girl is amazing. They can do all their own stunts. So if you want to be a Power Ranger, I would say do that. And again, the writing for Power Rangers isn't necessarily going to be Emmy-winning writing by any means, but for me, it's important. I know some of us in the original cast, we still continued to take acting classes outside of work. So, we would finish work and we would go to acting class after work. It's just important to always stay working on so many levels. So go do scenes with, in a scene study class or do a cold reading class or do a commercial acting class. Just do something so that you're just always keeping afloat. It's easy to get lost when you're a working actor on a TV series or whatever because you're constantly working, but you should be challenging yourself to be doing other characters than just the character that you're playing. So it's always important. I still take acting class now, and I don't have a problem. Some people are like, why do you take an acting class when, you know how to act on TV and stuff like that? But again, for me, it's always about creating characters, character development. Those are great classes to take too, where they really teach you script analysis, where you break down the script, you really figure out what's going on with the character, you write your history about the character, and then you really start bringing it to life. I mean, all that stuff is so important.
That comes straight from you. And I know things change these days a little bit. The technology took over. Back then, you guys really had to like jump, kick, punch, I'm guessing. And these days, it's like the technology is so amazing. You could just stand there. They take over everything. But it's always good to know the fundamentals, to hear it from a person like yourself that's part of such a cool show and still is a popular, iconic brand, Power Rangers. It's cool to hear. The advice goes a long way because people really take it to the heart. Now, getting back to the Power Rangers, I heard you guys used to have cool parties back in the days. Who would throw the coolest parties?
Wow, that's funny that you can track that down. I hear that a lot at Comic-Cons. It's funny that people have heard about the parties. But, it was always Walter Jones, the original Black Ranger, and Austin St. John, the original Red Ranger. They were roommates, but they had, I think 3 other guys living in this house. They all lived together. They would always throw the most amazing parties. A lot of stuff went down, and it was a lot of fun, but they were the ones that were throwing the parties. But, yeah, they were a lot of fun. That's all I can really say.
That's all you can say, huh?
Yep.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
all I'm willing to say.
You were willing to say, but we won't push it. We'll just keep it at that. That's the most you'll tell us.
Yeah, just know they were a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. There you go. It was just straight up fun, and that's it. Imagine, kids that are from 18 to 22 or 23, what's going to be happening? And you guys like the It shows in Hollywood, so come on. So let's leave that for imagination. But that's cool, man. That's cool. You guys had lots of fun. Now, were you guys all really good friends during the show? Did you guys become closer, or some people closer than other?
I mean, I would say that we were all good friends. You become a family, so you're like brothers and sisters, and you do work 12 to 15-hour days together. So we do get annoyed with each other, and we'd have like little brother-sister, brother-brother spats, but it lasts like 2 minutes, and you're over it, and you're back to being friends. So things like that went on, but overall, I would say that we all got along, and often we would hang out together afterwards. I was really close with Amy Jo Johnson, who was the original Pink Ranger, and Jason David Frank, who was the Green Ranger. I would say I was closest with them, but I would see, again, Walter and Austin would have their parties, and we'd go to that. And Twee, who was the original Yellow Ranger, I would see her out at clubs, and we would hang out together. So it's not like I didn't not like anybody or hang out with them. It was a lot of fun. I love them all. I am honored to have worked with them all and still to be friends with everybody. So it's great. We're on the Comic-Con circuit, all of us now, and we get to see each other at shows and travel together and explore the world together and experience the Power Ranger fans together. So it's really humbling in so many ways.
Well, I heard you were the nicest out of all of them. That's what I heard. And I heard that you were so nice and kind that you would even babysit Jason's 2 kids, because he had 2 kids while filming the show, right? And you were like cool enough to be like, hey, you guys go on date night and I'm going to do that. That's a cool thing. That's like a bro thing to do. That's like the coolest in the universe thing to do.
I don't even know how you got that tidbit of information. But yes, that's very true. I feel very much like their godfather. And I know it was tough for Jason and his first wife. They didn't really get to have a lot of time together. So, of course, I would watch their kids so they could go out and have dinner or just go out on the town. And when his first wife was having the second son, I went and picked up the first son so they could go to the hospital, and I took care of them until the baby came. So they all have special places in my heart for sure.
That's nice of you, man. You're a cool dude. I really like speaking with you. You're very calm. You seem like a very calm person, very level-headed. You think first before you say something, which is really cool. I really don't get that a lot. Usually when I do interviews, it's like, boom, 200 miles per hour. I'm like, yes. But you're very sharp, and I like that. And you're a very supportive person. You've helped so many charities and so many people. You have some causes you were a part of. Can you share that?
Sure. I mean, I think the biggest one for me is I really want to make sure that people that are struggling with suicidal thoughts, that they get help. I'm definitely about the National Suicide Prevention Line, and also the Trevor Project, which is a helpline for people struggling with their sexuality. And if they're having thoughts like that, or they're just struggling in general, it's a great way to get help and get support. And, I've struggled myself with suicide. And back then, we didn't have these lifelines to call into. And they literally are lifelines. And I've gone and witnessed the miracles that happen and the lives that are saved by the work that a lot of these people are just volunteers, that these volunteers do. It's such an amazing experience. I know people get sad in life and things don't go right, and it's hard sometimes to accept ourselves. And sometimes it seems like the only way I can get out is if I end my life. And I just really want to make sure that people know that that really is not the answer. It isn't. And there's just so much help. And so I just want to make sure that people get that help so that they can believe in themselves. Something that I say personally is that you need to embrace who you are, believe in who you are, and affirm who you are. And so that was something that I carry with me every day. Like, it took me a long time to embrace who I was, like to fully accept myself. It was very difficult for me because I was a gay man. I am a gay man, I should say. And it was just really difficult to come to terms with that. And I struggled and I struggled and I struggled. And it took a long time, but I eventually embraced myself. And then I believed in who I was, which means like I accept myself fully. I believe that I have the right to be here. I have the right to love who I want to love, and I have the right to be happy. And then affirm who you are just means that you go out into the world and like, this is me. And you can like it or you can not like it, but whatever your feelings are towards me, it doesn't affect me anymore because I am whole in myself. So that's really what I want people to get to be at that level. I went through really, really dark times and I came out on the other end. And I know if I can do it, everybody can do it.
That's really inspiring what you just said right now. You're telling everyone, be who you are. Because look, at one point you were on a TV show that was like number one. You said it was number one. You didn't know what was number one because you were filming, right? And everybody's like, you guys are number one. You're a hit. You're this, you're that. And still you were sad and you went through so much pain and so much sadness, but you overcame it. And if you can do it, anyone can, but you don't have support. You kind of had to like push yourself out of it. Now you're being that role model, because I saw on your social media page, you have the suicide hotline on your page right up there on top, which is really inspiring. That's really cool of you. Other people have like marketing things or stuff they're selling, and I bet you can put stuff there that you can sell, and you probably sell thousands of them, but you do that because you want to help people. That's really cool of you. What else can you say about that? Because I know we have all sorts of fans listening.
Just believing in yourself. I'm fortunate enough to get messages every day on all my social media sites, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram from people that thank me. If they're a lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or a questioning person, I get lots of messages about just saying, thank you for coming out. Thank you for sharing your story. Because I saw an interview that you did, or I heard about your story, it helped me accept myself. And so that means the world to me, and I just wanted to tell you that. I get messages like that every day. And so that alone gives my heart so much joy because I know that I've helped people with just sharing my story. So, I want people to be able to express themselves and not fear who they are. And I want them to be able to share their stories. And there's no shame in being depressed. There's no shame in having to take medication at certain times in our lives to help us deal with what's going on. And those are things that I went through. And I just want people to be able to be authentic and just be themselves and not worry. Unfortunately, in the world, there are still mean people, and you just have to really mentally get strong so that whatever they do towards you doesn't affect you. It sounds easier than it is because unfortunately it takes a lot of work. It took me a lot of years to get to that level. But people write me messages. I do try to write back. It's not always easy because I do get a lot. And then there's people, because I played Billy, the nerd of the group, and Billy got picked on. And Billy wasn't the greatest fighter because he wasn't supposed to be. I'm very honored to have played the character that I played because over the course of my time on the show, Billy really grew. And, he started off super, super nerdy and not confident in himself and wasn't great at martial arts. And his friends taught him martial arts. You really got to see my character grow. And so as an actor, that was such an awesome thing to be able to do. And, by the time that my character did leave the show, he was really confident and really assured of himself. So I get a lot of messages from fans as well saying, I watched Billy grow. And because Billy, even though he wasn't good at martial arts, he started taking martial arts. So because of that, it gave me confidence to take martial arts. Or Billy wore glasses, so it made me feel good about myself because I wore glasses. And even though Billy got picked on, and even though I get picked on, I saw that Billy had friends, so it made me work at making friends, and I made friends. And so to have those kind of stories is amazing. When we started the show, or when I started the show, never in a million years would I think that a character that I played or the characters that my co-stars played would have these kind of impacts on people's lives. But this show, for whatever reason, really transformed so many people's lives. It's just so awesome. And that's what's so great about traveling the world and going to Comic-Cons and hearing stories like this. It's great.
That's cool.
I don't know what to say beyond that.
Hey, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't want to put you on the spot. I just wanted to get some of your knowledge because you went through a lot and you said it. And I've read some of your interviews and it was hard for you and you overcame it. And that's cool of you, man. And you were also a star on a show. It's like this positive negative thing that was going on, but at the end it turned out great and you're an inspiration for people, man. I think the role was perfect for you. You know why? Because you did play that nerd, and the nerd grew. And I remember some of the episodes where you were like a cool guy, when you would change or the hair would change and all that, which is kind of cool, right? And then everybody's like, hey, I could be like that. So that was cool. I have a friend. He basically loves Power Rangers, and he's like, hey, if Billy can change, I can. So it's kind of cool, man. Imagine if he does it now. I'll be like, hey, calm down.
Well, you would be surprised how many 25 to 35-year-olds really lose their... Am I allowed to say the word shit? They lose
say
their
it,
shit
brother.
When
say
they
it.
See the original... They lose their shit and turn into these like little kids when they see us sometimes or they meet us. It's really humbling, and it's so funny to watch people just like they're like 35 and they turn into like a 7-year-old kid. It's great to have that kind of an impact on people's lives. Sort of going off that, I kind of want to go back to just letting people know, as an actor, I originally auditioned for the role of the Red Ranger, of what eventually became Jason. But when I auditioned for the role, it was called Victor. And so I went in and I had 3 auditions for that role, and I could tell that they weren't going to give me that role. And so, I wanted to be a working actor. And so I begged the producers and the casting director to let me read for the role of Billy. And they told me no. They said, we don't see you in that part. You don't look the part. And so I went into the bathroom and wet my hair and borrowed somebody's glasses and borrowed somebody's button-up shirt and, made myself look disheveled. And I came back and I begged. I said, please let me read for this role. And they eventually said, okay, you can read for it. And I did. And eventually I ended up in the role. So again, that's why it's so important as an actor to read plays, to read different characters. So when you're put on the spot like I was, I could have just accepted like the no and walked away. But it was really important for me to make sure that I got the role, and I did whatever it took. And because I had studied so much, I knew how to create that character on the spot. I just want to give people that kind of confidence too. Like sometimes people are going to tell you no, but if you know it in your heart, you need to persevere. And that's what I did. And eventually I ended up being Billy, the Blue Ranger.
That's a cool story, man. I don't think anybody has heard that. They heard it here first. That's a firster for everywhere. Yeah, that's cool, man. You didn't give up. You just went back and came back and changed your hair, wore glasses, and acted the part. And that comes from experience and perseverance and not giving up. And imagine if you would have gave up, man. No Blue Ranger, no you. That would have been crazy.
Yeah, it would have been.
It would have been really, 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 but you did it, and you became the Blue Ranger, and 200 episodes later. Now, towards the end of the 4th season, was the 4th season the last season of the original cast? How did that work out?
Well, I mean, over the years, people of the original cast left at different times. So first it was, unfortunately, Walter Jones, Austin St. John, and Thuy Trang. They all left at the same time over a contract dispute. And then later, Amy Jo left after we had filmed the movie and we came back to the show. She did a little bit and then she left. And then we moved into Zeo series, and that's when I left in the middle of Zeo. It's hard to explain unless you're really watching it all. So we all kind of trickled out as time went on. But I was the longest running original actor to be in all 200 episodes consecutively. So I hold that title because there was a point, Jason David Frank came in, I think at episode, 12 or 20. I don't remember when the Green Ranger first came in. He is an original as far as I'm concerned, but he didn't come in till sort of mid-season of the first season. He stayed on, but then there was a point where there was something called Alien Rangers, where all the Power Rangers turned into little kids, except for my character, Billy, became an adult. And so I was in all those episodes when everybody else wasn't. So I was in all these episodes consecutively and never missed an episode. So that's my title. I hold on to that with pride.
Isn't that crazy, man? At first they weren't going to get you for the part, and then they kept you till the end, and they kept pushing you into different episodes and keeping you and wanting you to stay till you finally walked away. That's crazy.
Right.
That's pretty cool, though. And you should be proud of that, because 200 episodes is a lot. Not getting sick, being tired. 200 episodes, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. Like I said, if it was in today's times, it'd be 20 seasons. You stuck through it. Now, at the end, you just left because it faded out. You didn't want to be part of it. Did it get boring for you? Or was it just like 200's enough? That was like my golden number.
No, unfortunately, it was a lot more serious than, there was things going on behind the scenes. There was a lot of rumors about my sexuality going on. And there was crew members and cast members had been called into different producers' offices and questioned about my sexuality. And, those people came and told me what was going on. And I was really struggling with my sexuality at the time, and it was the 90s, and I was on a successful TV show, and I felt like all this weight, like if people found out about my sexuality, that it would bring down the show, it would ruin the show. And so, I just got tired of what was going on, the rumors, the things that were being said to me, the fact that producers were calling people into their offices and, sort of doing what I call a witch hunt. It was really difficult for me to navigate that as a young person, to not want to be gay, and then to have all this stuff going on about being gay. I had to leave because unfortunately I was becoming more and more suicidal, and I just didn't want to take it anymore. And I couldn't take it anymore. So I just walked off set one day and never looked back. I mean, they did call my agent and said he needs to come back or we'll sue him. And I told my agent, you can tell them to sue me. And never heard from them again. So that's sort of how it ended for me.
You go, boy. That's good you did that, man. That was a powerful thing. Must have been scary because you were still young, just 4 years in. You're still like, 26 at the time? You're still a young kid. You don't know everything. Right. And Hollywood's crazy world, man, especially in the 90s, especially back then. In today's time, they would embrace you and you would have became the number one hit actor in a series. But back then, they were a little crazy, man. That was weird. You persevered and you overcame it. But that's cool, man. You showed your power and you walked off like a G. You know what I'm saying?
I thought it was the right thing to do. Obviously, for me, it was the right thing to do at the time. I needed to get out of that energy.
It was hard though, right? It must have been difficult.
Yeah, it was extremely difficult for me. I was scheduled to be in the rest of that season. They were doing a second movie. I was supposed to be in that movie, but it just wasn't worth it to me anymore. And I just had to walk. And unfortunately, I think, there are people that know the story that after that, I put myself through conversion therapy, which was really detrimental for anybody. The pray the gay away stuff took me to a darker space than I was in when I left the show. So I did that for 2 years, and eventually it led to a nervous breakdown, and I had to check myself into a hospital and start the process of learning how to accept myself. That was my rock bottom, and here I am now.
Hey, man, congratulations on being here today and being part of pop culture and still being there for the fans, because anyone else that went through what you went through wouldn't even probably want to look at the character or look at the TV show. It's probably been like a scar in their life. But you said, you know what? Whatever. I'm me. I'm who I am. I walked off. I'm still the Blue Ranger. I always will be the Blue Ranger. No matter who else plays the Power Rangers for the next 1,000 years, you are the Blue Ranger forever and ever and ever. And you took it, man. You just said, hey, it's me. And now you embrace it. And people are learning from you. And you're growing. And you're doing other things. That's a cool thing, man. You're inspiring. You're inspiring for a lot of people, because there's also a lot of, not just gender related, but there's also a lot of foreigners that don't feel that they belong. So your story connects with so many things, like with gender, with nationality, with so many things, man. It's really cool to hear. Plus, you're a superhero, so that probably gives everybody, or not that does, but it does give them that kind of like coolness. Like, look, if a superhero can overcome obstacles, I can too. And, man, that's it. You're just going to give him your Power Ranger powers and go from there.
That's right.
That's cool, man. You got a lot of stories. I bet you have so many crazy stories, but I'm not going to get it out of you. It's not my time to do that. My time is to have fun here. So I'm not Barbara Walters to do that. We're here to have fun. So do you think you might get into anything, any other superhero stuff? You might ever play in a Power Rangers movie and do like a walk-on or something like that, or be like a trainer to Power Rangers? I don't know. There's so many ideas in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they've asked me at least 3 times, I think now, to come back to the TV show to do a couple of these, what they call reunion episodes, that I don't really consider them to be reunion episodes, but they've asked me. But unfortunately, I'm a union actor, and I stand by being a union actor, and they still film Power Rangers non-union off in New Zealand now. And so it doesn't make sense for me to break ties with my union just to go back and do that. Once you become part of the union, it's really important for me anyways that, I gave my word to my union. So I stand by my union, and I'm not going to go off and work on a non-union project. So, you work really hard to become a union actor. I stand there. I stand as a union actor. I would love to go back to Power Rangers, but, they would just have to follow the Screen Actors Guild contract and honor all that, and I would be there. Now, they did the movie in 2017, and they filmed it in Canada. It was sort of under the union guidelines. I wasn't asked to be in that. I know they're doing a sequel. I guess it's the rumor that I hear right now that they're going to do. Hasbro's taken over the rights to Power Rangers, and that they're in talks, I guess, about doing a second movie. So hopefully they will think to bring the original cast back. And, because the new movies are based on the original characters, it would be nice if they brought the five of us that are still here back to that, just to have, I would love to do a little cameo in it. Even if it's just playing a janitor, I would totally do it.
No janitor, man. No janitor. You guys, hey, that movie was about you guys. You guys should have been there and part of it, like their dads or moms or even like the original Power Rangers that got killed on the alien planet or on Earth, whatever it was. I think you guys should be in the sequel. You know how many tickets they'd sell, man? I think it would like double the box office tickets. I think so. Well,
I don't disagree with you. I think that was a big missed opportunity for them to really, what's the word I want to say, branch, I guess, the 2017 fans with the 1993 fans, to really solidify bringing in the fan base. Just knowing that the original characters were in it certainly would have helped box office sales. And I'm not saying, honestly, I don't think that we needed to be starring in it or have a ton of lines, but I know fans get excited. Just, Amy Jo and Jason Frank were both in it, but they weren't utilized, I thought, in a respectful way, which is really disappointing. But still, I saw the movie a few times, and every time in the audience, people would clap and get excited when they came on screen. So I know there was a missed opportunity there. So hopefully Hasbro will step up to the plate and bring us back and have us utilize us in some form. That would be great.
I hope someone from Hasbro is listening to this episode and they're like, light bulb, and they bring you on as a producer and as an actor. There you go. Right, David? Both.
That would be interesting for sure.
Of course, man. But you've noticed, though, that a lot of things are being filmed in Canada. So do you think that'll affect you being part of it or no?
No, not necessarily. I don't know the whole structure of how they filmed the first movie. I'm sure some of it was under the Canadian Union for sure. So there's all these things that you have to navigate in that sense. But a lot of actors are still cast out of Los Angeles and brought to Canada to film TV shows. Like a lot of the CW shows are filmed in Canada, and a lot of the actors are from LA and they're taken up there. But it's interesting to see how the industry is now. I mean, so much used to be filmed in Los Angeles, but now a lot goes to Vancouver, a lot's being filmed in Atlanta. There's TV shows being filmed sort of all over the place now. LA is still a big hotspot for sure, but a lot of work has been taken away. Even some of the stuff that we see on CBS, they film in Budapest and Romania. It's interesting to see where stuff is filmed these days.
Hey, I've been there and I've seen their sets, and it's pretty cool. These guys really work hard for those sets. So I understand why these TV companies go there, because they probably get 100 times more for the buck. These guys work double and triple time trying to prove themselves. So I get it. Man, Right. It was so amazing chatting with you today, David. You're a cool guest. I would love to bring you back on the show soon to talk about more things. I hope you get on that movie and the new Power Rangers one. I hope they're hearing and listening. Is there anything you want to tell the fans before we sign out today from Comic-Con Radio?
Sure. I mean, just if you're fans of Power Rangers, obviously, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can't even express to you my gratitude that you have kept the Power Ranger franchise alive for all these years, 26 years now. So, that's such a gift to me, and I'm truly honored. And I love that I get to go to Comic-Cons and meet you guys and hear your stories. So thank you for all of that. If you haven't been a fan of Power Rangers and you're just finding out about it, please, it's on Netflix. You can watch us. We're all over the place. So, take a little look, see what all the talk is about, and just thank you, and just know from the bottom of my heart, I may not know you personally, but I love you.
That's cool, man. That's nice of you to say. And what is your social media page, David, for everyone?
I guess my biggest one, I'll just say that one, is Instagram, and it's official David Yost, and my last name is spelled Yost. So official David Yost on Instagram is a good one to follow me on, as well as Twitter is David_Yost.
And And if you haven't lived under a rock or in a cave somewhere, you know who the Blue Ranger is and Power Rangers is. So everybody knows what's up. Everybody in this universe, they're probably going to say, oh my God, who's the Blue Ranger? They know you, man. Come on. But you're a humble dude. You're a nice guy. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to exit out the show. Give a round of applause at home for David. He's a very cool dude from the Power Rangers. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is your boy Galaxy with the Blue Ranger, David Yost. And we're signing out of another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio. And here, guys and girls and everyone in this universe, we're going to give you guys some kisses. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Mwah! We just gave you guys a kiss. That's from David and myself. So put it in your pocket. Keep it for later or whenever you want to use it. Thank you for listening. Love you guys. Peace.
This is David Yost, the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, and it's Morphin time.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Galaxy signing out from another amazing episode of Comic-Con Radio. Tune in for your daily shows of Comic-Con Radio. Go to comiccon-radio.com. Reach us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Comic-Con Radio. You can call us toll-free right now. 800-976-0305. 800-976-0305. Comic-Con Radio, taking the world one listener at a time.